You're listening to the Womenpreneur Asia podcast, and I'm your host, Krista Good. This is season 2, where I speak to more inspiring yet down-to-earth women in business across Malaysia and Asia. This episode is sponsored by Reebok Studio. In this 5th episode of season 2, I'm excited to present to you Malaysian entrepreneur Shadaitul Intan. Intan is the director of Profound Learning Solutions Sdn Bhd, a training consultancy in Malaysia. She started off as a medical student, but turned to finance and later found out that finance wasn't really for her. When she became a trainer, facilitator, and coach, she found her true calling. Intan is known in the industry as a versatile trainer who aims to bring joy, productivity, and performance back to the workplace. She is warmly endearing and articulate and loves growing people, as you will hear from this interview of ours. She cares for the people around her, and this makes her the perfect person to coach and train others. Optimistic and open, just like her idol Oprah Winfrey, Intan is passionate about bringing awareness to the whole person, and this is why she talks about being resilient, being productive, and living life with passion and purpose. I hope you will enjoy this episode. Glad to have you here with us today.
Thank you, Krista. Thank you so much for having me. Such an honor to be a guest for your podcast.
Okay, so Intan, where are you now physically?
I'm currently located in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I'm running my business here. And, I usually run my business around Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, Peninsula Malaysia. But with the pandemic, I'm happy to report that I am now expanding my business thanks to pandemic, thanks to technology, really. And I'm so excited.
That is so good to hear. So how was your week? They were recording it almost at the end of the week, but how was your week so far?
It's good. For my business, usually Q1 is very quiet, but this is a time when we're starting to have work or contract. Companies started calling us, and March onwards will be very busy. So I've started one of my first class yesterday. And then I also have some personal matters. This week, I'm an aunt, and my 27-year-old niece is getting married. And in Asia, wedding is big. So even though now we're under pandemic, we have SOP, we are only allowed with 15 people. Still, in Asia, wedding is a big thing. Still, as an aunt, I have to run around and help the bride's mom to get things done for the big day. So,
busy day.
Busy week. Work,
okay.
Family, and everything.
That's quite typical of most women who juggle everything: family, work, daughter duties, sister-in-law duties, auntie duties. So that's all good to hear. So one of the things that I always like to begin with is, how do you get started in your business? And what is your business about, first of all?
Okay. So I actually run a training consultancy. It's something that I discovered by accident, really, because I graduated with accounts and finance. And of course, back in the 80s, when we're asked about our ambition, we only know the few professions, like either you become a doctor, lawyer, engineer. And during my, university days, I was supposed to go to medical school. And then after the pre-medic, I actually changed my mind. I could see that, I don't think I could carry the course. So I changed to finance and accounts. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing the course. But over 9 years in corporate, I found that I'm more people person rather than a number person. Then all the lessons about number taught me, for myself, but for me to do it like an auditor, I did some work as an auditor before. I know that's not the best for me. And during that 9 years in corporate, I found that even though I work in a bank and I work in a telco, in an IT company, a lot of my work, it so happened that my boss saw my strength and said all my work were all people related, negotiation, project management, and all that. And I discovered training, people development. I wasn't in HR, but I discovered people development for myself back in year 2000. And I actually went through a big transformation after, something, I've gone through something in my personal life. Actually, I got divorced. So I decided, this is the time for me to grow. And from that personal development, I fell in love with a career. In fact, on the last day of that training, I was sitting in the room on 5th day. I felt so good. I felt so enlightened. I felt so light. I had so much of aha moment. And I said to myself, if this is how good a trainer or a coach or facilitator can make the participants feel, I said, I want to be the one in front there to make other people feel this way. So I love that making people feel good, maybe, doing something for other people. It means a lot to me. So I think that's where I'm more of a people person. And after 9 years of working, I decided to jump on my own. I was in a public listed company. I had my share schemes. I had my bonus. And my boss was about to promote me, but I said, I want to try out something new. But I didn't go out and immediately set up a business. But I actually tried for 6 months. I actually set up a nursery. I set up a nursery at a housing area because that's when I wanted.
Nursery as in what? Plant nursery or the kid nursery?
Okay, here is actually a daycare center for babies.
Okay.
For babies. Because I was a young mother at that time and I saw the problem. But because of, the high rental and the pricing structure and all that, I couldn't resign because I couldn't earn even as much as I was earning, as much as my salary. I said, I can't resign and earning less. So I sold it off and then I went into sales. And then while I got into sales, I actually continued to develop myself as a trainer. I went for trainer. I went for skills development, and I actually did freelance. I became a freelance trainer just to, polish my skills before I started on my own in 2008. So that's how I got started. It was. I can say it's a passion now, but I discovered it by accident back in 2001. That's 20 years ago.
Okay, so when you got out on your own, what was that feeling like when you first literally was like, right now I'm in business, right? So how was that feeling for you?
I was 33-year-old at that time, already a single mom with 2 kids. I was excited because what I did was, before I resigned, I already identified what is it that I wanted to do. So I actually acquired skills in sales. And I actually I closed some sales first. It's part of the learning process, right? And then I saw, okay, I had a system, I have the know-how, the skills, and I could produce results. Then I resigned. So I actually tested it out first. And then I have savings for, I think it was about equivalent to 8 months of savings. So I had that. I make sure I have the skills. Then only I resign.
Wow. So you're quite prepared.
At that time. I was prepared at that time. But little did I know how the journey was going to be the next 16 years. I'm going to share with you later because I've gone through all the ups and downs, the investing money and not getting it back. I've dabbled in a few things. Same business, but I've dabbled a few things, within the same business.
Okay. So then this would bring us to, so what was the business like in the early days? And were there any challenges, obstacles, issues when you first started?
Wow. When I first started in sales, back then in 2004 to 2007, social media was not yet a big thing. Even smartphone came a little bit later. So it was a very traditional cold call, meet in person. Yeah. And at that time, the challenge being a young lady doing sales is when we have to deal with the male client. And over here in Asia, there's gender gap and power gap. The male expect they are treated as that they have a higher power than us women, and I struggle because I don't come from that background. I was raised in my family by my dad that men and women are equal. You are equally smart. You are equally capable. But when I went out, and I was shocked to see, how the culture is in Asia. Yeah. So I struggle with that. And even though I could close deals, I didn't enjoy it. It became very transactional. So I didn't enjoy the experience, but I had to do it for survival. So that's when I decided, okay, this is my learning path. So I did it for that 4 years, just for me to grow and learn, because I know in the end, I'm going to go into training because I need those experience first. Yeah. Because when I do training for corporate, if you're too young, nobody wants to bring you in. Say, what can you teach our people? Yeah. But for now, it's much easier. I go in and most of my participants are 10 years younger than me. So that's a bit all right.
But what do you sell? What were you selling when you were talking about doing sales, right?
Sales, yeah. There was financial products.
I see.
Financial products. So because I had financial background, I had banking background. And in fact, I was close to becoming a certified financial planner. Then I was at a crossroad. I was already a certified trainer, and I was almost one more paper to become a certified financial planner. That's when I had to choose. And I said, I had to listen to my heart. What is my soul saying? You want to help people make money, or you want to make a difference to bigger market, but more people, but you're giving them aha moments, enlightenment or skills or whatever that they need. Yeah. And that's not just limited with people with money. You know how it is when you sell investment products. The tendency is to look for people who already have money. So when you help people who have money to make extra money, it's like, oh, no big deal. And especially today, they can do it online. They don't need someone to tell them, hey, you can make money here. So I didn't get that fulfillment. It was not, even though it's a big commission, but then you feel, and I felt empty. I felt empty. The money felt empty to me. It's very different than what I earn today. I feel it's very fulfilling. Okay, let's say it's fulfillment that I look for.
It's fulfillment and money.
Yes.
Together, right? It makes more sense that way.
Yes, yes.
So in the early days, do you do a lot of cold calling? Do you knock on doors and introduce yourself as a trainer or your services?
Yeah, cold calling. During the sales, a lot of cold calling. And when I started as a trainer, I had to do a business to business. When I was in sale, it was a business to retail, or B2C. It was a B2C. I attended to retail customer. And then when I changed to training, it's already B2B. So I have to pitch to stakeholders. So there's a little bit difference there. I had to go to tender. I had to present to a committee. So again, a growth there. I truly enjoyed it. But I prefer it that way because when it's business to business, 99% of the time is they will engage based on our credibility, not so much of, who you know and all that. You know how it is in corporate. Everything is very, there's a system to evaluate you. So I know, it keeps me on check. So that when I do my work, I have to always be careful. I know I have to give the best because this will determine whether I will still have business next year, in the coming years.
I like how you mentioned credibility. Let's talk a little bit about credibility. How do you build credibility? I mean, for women in business and women entrepreneurs, so those want to start out in business, that's a very important aspect, right? Because without credibility, no one's going to buy your product or services. So how did you build that up over the years?
For me, I was lucky because I was trained, like I mentioned, when I grew up, there's no difference just because you're a woman. Because some people think that, if you're a woman, you can sell anything. Heck no, not in business to business. In fact, when people talk about if you're in the corporate world, there's glass ceiling. But when you're in business, there's boys club. So you have heard this in tech, yeah? Women in tech. Yeah. I've listened to their talk. They talk about, in tech industry, there's boys club. And in my industry, there's also boys club. They are everywhere. So as women, I think for us, it's very important that we deliver results and make it like, some women, I understand that women don't like to shout about our results, but I think it's so crucial. There's no other way that we can stand out except by proving our work and not to be shy to talk about it. Men talk about, my company is this, my company is that. But when it comes to women, we tend to be like,
low profile.
Low profile, So I
humble, modest.
So for me, testimonials, and when I pitch, when I pitch, sometimes I have agents. Sometimes my agents will call me. I said, let me talk to the client because I can tell them the science behind what I do and all that. And when they listen, they know it's not something that I made up. And I make sure whatever I deliver, whatever I say, it's backed by science. When I say I can do this, that's because I've done my certification. It's not something that I pluck from air. So we can only build credibility when we build trust in people. And in today's world, we are in what we call trust economy. There's no room for bullshit. If you do a bad job, somebody will find out the very next day. So it's so important that for us, deliver. Now, if there is any mistake, be it a physical product or services, we got to be quickly to rectify it, own up and apologize. That's it. Own up. Okay, it was our mistake. It's fine. Yeah. Rather than trying to cover it up. So that is part of credibility building. And the other thing that I do actively is on social media is to write content. That's also a good place for authority building. Otherwise, people will not know our capability. So it's not, I'm not a big fan of putting my face everywhere. I don't even have a banner or bunting that has my face on it. I don't like that, but I like people to read my content. I like people to know that I have substance. And when I get that feedback, then I know, okay, they got me. Okay, that's when I know when they buy from me, it's based on my credibility. I don't believe in this, buy from that pretty face or whatsoever. We no longer live in that world. It's 2021.
Do you enjoy particularly writing?
Actually, I don't consider myself good in writing at all. When I first started, I really struggled. I wrote like I was writing a textbook. When I look at it, oh my God, it's horrendous. And everyone was already writing, copywriting, the art of storytelling and all that. Gosh, so I learned. Yeah, that's another thing about being an entrepreneur. We got to continuously learn. The time change, trends change. Yeah. So even on social media itself, if you do video 3-4 years ago, example on LinkedIn, you get high views. People are listening to video. 2 years down the road, people don't want to watch video anymore. Yeah, people want short. So we gotta be, we gotta know what people want out there. Yeah, and stay attuned to it.
Okay. Now I want to ask you, Intan, because you mentioned something interesting about growing up with a dad who believed that girls could do as well as boys. So tell us a little bit about your childhood and where do you grow up? Do you grow up in KL?
I grew up in a small town in Perak, in Batu Gajah, and I was lucky. I was sent to convent school, and in my class, since I started schooling when I was 5, 6, yeah, I remember those days. I was in a class with friends who are from at least 4 to 5 different races and religions. So diversity and inclusion to me was I started off early, and I really treasure that because it makes our perspective different. It makes our appreciation. It makes us appreciate the differences. And for me, I learn a lot. If people ask me, I don't want to be known for my race or whatsoever. I want to be Malaysian. And then when I say Malaysian, I have a little bit of, all the different races, part of the culture, I say, I want to be good with numbers, like how the Chinese, have business mindset. I want to be eloquent, like how my Indian friends are confident in debate and all that. And I also want to stay humble, like my Malay friends. So I want to have all that in me. And I love that. I love that. And thanks to that exposure, and I really treasure that moment. So my dad and my mom has a big gap in terms of educational difference. Yeah, my dad was first in his village to pass English Cambridge. This is back during Japanese occupation in the 40s. But my mom had the opportunity to go to school, but because my late grandma passed away, and at 13, she was like the only girl in the family. So my late grandfather was a school teacher at that time, school headmaster, decided that, okay, because you're a girl, you're going to stop schooling and then we're going to have an arranged marriage, So my mom did not have the opportunity to become a school teacher. That was her ambition at that time. Those days, women, they love career, but the one that they could see is to become a school teacher. So when I grew up, I had a mom who always talked to us about the importance of education, importance of ability to earn our own money. In fact, we were not allowed to go into the kitchen to help her, and not until we have completed our homework. So it's always homework first, then to the kitchen.
How many siblings do you have?
6 of us, 3 sisters and 3 brothers. So it's all equal.
A big family too.
A big family. It's nice. Yeah. Big family.
Yeah. So then in that case, so you grew up with this idea that boys and girls had same or equal, I would say, equal capabilities. And did that influence a lot of your decision making into adulthood?
Heck a lot. So I never question, I never doubt my capability in solving problems because I'm a woman. You know, I don't say, oh, I'm a woman, I shouldn't be solving this problem. None of those. None gender related. It's either skills related or something that's not my area. That's fine. You know, I'm not an oil and gas engineer, so of course I cannot solve anything related to oil and gas. I won't talk about it. It's fine. I'm not a trained lawyer, so let the lawyers talk about legal, for example. Those are skills related, but none of it are gender related. It's a matter of whether you want it or you don't want it. I mean, today you see we have female engineers working offshore, you know, and women pilot. Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, women are doing amazing things these days.
I'm so inspired. I tell you, I'm so proud. These are strangers, but when I read news, like, you know, one of the Saudi airline was flown by all female pilots, all female crew, and they passed Arctic or something.
Wow.
And there was a Brunei airline. Brunei airline was flown by.
And we also have a fighter pilot, a female fighter pilot. I think she came out in the news a few years ago.
Yes.
And I was thinking, wow, that was so amazing.
Yes.
The things that women can do these days. Aren't you glad we're living in the 21st century?
Yes.
So then how was it like growing up in Batu Gajah?
It was a nice multiracial town, but it was a town of tin mine at that time. So there were a lot of you know, I remember those days. Every time we see a Mercedes, my dad would tell me, "Oh, that's a tin mine tauke," you know. So I've always been inspired. You know, when I grow up, can I be a tin mine tauke? I want to be a businesswoman, but I didn't know what business.
So you already had some form of, you know, like a little seed of an idea that you wanted to be in business, but just didn't know what sort of business.
I didn't know what. That was my dad's work. My dad was an engineer and he worked for electrical board. So he didn't have a chance to do business, but he also likes to see, because we like big cars, you know, we look at all those material things. It's like, wow, you know, sometimes my dad tell me, you know, if you want to drive a Jaguar, you should be a lawyer. I said, oh, I don't think I can take up law degree. You know, those are the conversations I have with my dad. Cars, nice cars, you know, do some good, you know, go into some good profession.
Is that how you ended up doing finance and accounting?
Maybe, hoping that I could make money from it.
Because when I look at you, or when I think about the work that you do now, it's so far from numbers.
Yeah. It's
right,
so
the training and development that you do, things that you do.
Yes, it's all about people. About people. And I'm loving it. And especially that in my 13 years of career, I've ran workshops for more than 15,000 people, and it covers. I've ran workshop for the hardcore poor, illiterate, hardcore poor and illiterate from the rural area. And I've also had 30 over dental surgeons in my workshop. So I've covered, you know, the vast, a different personality. So it's enriching for me too. I learn as much from the hardcore poor as much as I learn from this dental surgeon.
What sort of training did you conduct for the hardcore poor?
At that time, it was a mindset change. We need to show them that they can earn more than 300 ringgit a month. That's how much is 300 ringgit? US $50. No, US $75 a month, because that's their income level at that time. So what I did was I ran a workshop. My workshops are all playing games, but I debrief on lessons learned. So one of the activity that I put in the 2 days workshop, I gave them a challenge, go out as a group and come back with as much money as possible. So they came back in 2 hours with money, 200-300 ringgit. And then we debrief. So what worked? What did you do? So then they discover, all this while, number one, they were working alone. They were working in silo. Number two, they had a lot of fear. When they're working alone and they have fear, they have no one to support them. But during my class, I actually put them to work in collaboration. See, when they are working alone, okay, this is applicable. It doesn't have to be for the hardcore poor. Sometimes business women get into business thinking about survival. So when we think we need to survive, we think of scarcity. And when we have fear, we have no one to reach out to. Yeah, but the truth is, as entrepreneur, we need to learn to be collaborative, because today's world, business is all about collaboration. And to be able to do collaboration, we need to have that abundance mindset. There's enough for everybody. The pie is huge. And especially today, with the digital platform, the pie is really, really, really huge. So during that time, I managed to show them. So let me give you an example. It was in a village. So they are I remember one time in one class from one village, one person is selling a hot soup. Okay. And then the other person is selling, I think it was cendol, something cold, in the, for people to buy, right? So they were saying that, okay, during the rainy season, nobody wants to buy my cold drink. But when it's too hot, and then the other sellers say when the weather is too hot, nobody wants to buy my soup. And so why don't you all collaborate? But they couldn't think of that. So I think it was bringing them, if you ask me what workshop did I do, is to bring them from that survival scarcity mindset to collaboration and abundance. Then they were able to see that, actually, I can earn more than this. And it takes experience. It cannot be listening to a talk and say, hey, you can do it. They might go back and say, I doubt so. So that's why we did an exercise. I actually sent them out for 2 hours and they came back with actual cash. So some of the things that they did was they went to the town and they go and knock on doors of some shops and say, can we take some, can you give us, can we help you do the dishes and you pay us a few ringgit? So a lot of them, they spread. And then when they come back and they pull the money together, they manage to pull some money.
Wow. That is a great story.
I was in tears, when they came back. I cried.
So now that we've learned on this spectrum that you taught the hardcore poor how to change their thoughts about money and earning money. So what were you teaching the dental surgeons then?
Dental surgeons, it was for a university. They wanted to know bedside management, how to handle patients. And they wanted us to teach their students because they already been teaching on the dental part. So it was supposed to be a train the trainer. But after we did the class for them, they said, you go and train our student lah. So we're happy to.
So that was more on the, I would say, the EQ side, how to handle or talk to people.
How to talk to patient, how to understand the fear in patient. I think was all along in my career because I learned that way too. I learned to overcome my fear by walking on fire back in 2004 with Tony Robbins, And I was stuck there because I already paid a few thousand ringgit and said, heck, I cannot go back. It was in Singapore, already flew all the way in, like, okay, I cannot run away from this. And then I actually used that experience and I keep creating experience for people to overcome fear. So that hardcore poor, yes. And then when I teach public speaking, it's also that, except that I don't make people walk on fire lah. I don't do that. But I get them to overcome their fear. And I really enjoy that. At the end of the day, they feel like, I didn't know I could do this. And I actually make them do the actual thing, not the
exercise.
The actual exercise. If it's public speaking, you go and do public speaking. If it's earning money, you go out and actually earn it. And then you come back and tell me, what was your experience? So there was a self-discovery process there.
So in terms of your business right now, I'm sure you're quite established in the industry already. And people do know who you are and they know what kinds of services that you can offer and deliver to them, right? So what has been your learnings all this while? Like, from the day you started until now? Like, what have you realized? What are some of your own personal aha moments of being in business?
As a businesswoman, okay.
Yeah.
I've made a couple of mistakes. So let's talk about mistakes, okay? So in my early days in setting up business, I still have my company, but I've changed my business model. So at one time, I have a team of 5 people in the office, and I have it's a full-time team, and I have a part-time team of about another 35 of them. And I was running projects, and we travel around Malaysia, running training. And then there were times when I have friends, I have girlfriends, and there were times that I couldn't balance making business decision based on purely business and, separating them from friendship. So I've made mistakes like, okay, I engage my friend, but then it backfired. I engage my friend because she's my friend. Okay. And I hire because, okay, it was recommended by a friend where we truly did not need such a position, for example. Yeah. So my biggest lesson is to separate business and friendship. So making business decision, for me, it has to be maybe 95% business, only 5% friendship. And friendship also is like, are you comfortable with working with this person? Is it pleasant to work with, easy to work with? Will this give you headache or give you stress? Yeah, but the other 95% must be very, very objective and must be a very well thought through business decision. So that's my biggest lesson. I had projects in Indonesia. I had to pull out. I have to do a lot of damage control. So that's my number one lesson. And then number two, in my early years, I had male counterparts within the industry who did not like the fact that I'm a female, and I know things that they don't know. I had to face that. I had to face that. Yeah.
Okay. And such as, like, you knew things that they didn't know?
Okay. I get verbally bullied. And I also have my people being pinched. Somebody in the industry said, hey, you're trained by Intan, right? Why don't you run her module for my company? But my trainers I'm very happy to say that the trainers that I train and I attract, they're very pure. So they came back and tell me, then they asked, isn't that unethical in business? I said, no, heck yeah. So Intan, I'm telling you, I'm not taking it because I feel it's unethical. Thank you for telling me that. But yes, there were attempts to do that. And for me to say, excuse me, do you think just because I'm a female, you can do that? I think you're wrong. So we cannot run away from that. I don't know. For me, I've experienced a couple of experiences like that. I don't find pleasant. So I actually built barriers. So I blog, and then I actually for a good 5-6 years, I did not post anything on social media about my business at all because I didn't want all this jealousy and people copying and whatnot. So I survived on my own. I still use the traditional way. This was from 2008 to 2014. They were still on phone call. I meet people, page, nothing on social media. It was only after 2015. And in fact, on LinkedIn, I was only active on 2017, writing content. At that time, I already passed that era, and I said, I'm just going to write. If not, nobody will find me. Yeah. And in the beginning, I do struggle a bit. It's like, I was hesitant. I was doubtful. But when I started, the moment I got started, then it just flowed. And there's no more conversation, male, female. Am I blowing my trumpet? I said, heck yeah. If I don't blow my own trumpet, who will? No man will do it for us, man.
Yeah. And I absolutely agree on that point, because I was just talking about this yesterday with a few women friends, and we're talking about doing good work, but we're also talking about doing good work and being able to stand up and tell the world that we're doing good work.
Yes.
And to stand and tell it proudly. So I felt that a lot of times women tend to advocate better for other women, but they don't advocate very well for themselves.
Yeah. Hence, all the more, it's okay, but all the more, it's very crucial to collaborate today. Yeah. We do shout outs for our friends, Well, I do shout out male, female, it doesn't matter. We do a shout out for our friends. Even they may seem like, yeah, isn't this your competitor? When you do shout out, it will come back, And of course, we write about ourselves as well. So for me, for women entrepreneurs out there, if you're not comfortable, collaborate. Sometimes we even read each other's profile. Some female trainers, female coaches who just started struggle to write their own profile. Because your profile has to sell. You have to tell what are you good at, why the client should take you. Some women even struggle with that. So if we are going to be a businesswoman, that is, to me, that's a must-have, must do, and make full use of the social media.
So I see you're a big fan of social media now. After 2017, right? Starting 2017. Yeah, that's when Intan decided to come back with full force.
Yes, I don't care what people gonna think. I'm just gonna write. I'm just gonna go out there and tell. Okay, actually, it's this. Yeah, when we're in business, we're not serving all the 7 billion of the whole population. So whatever product that we have, right? Whether it's architecture, interior design, legal, we all have our specific niche. So when I write, I also have my specific niche. So when I write, all I have to think about is what would my target market want to read? And that's what I write. Yeah. So there's no conversation of, am I as good as so and so? Am I as big as Simon Sinek? Am I like as good as Gary Vee? There's no conversation like that, because Gary Vee has his own segment. We have
audience.
An audience, yeah. So same goes with our product. So be it a beauty product or whatsoever. So we all have our own niche. So all the more we got to blow our trumpet and make sure our target market can hear us.
Great advice, Intan. Love that. Okay, now I want to talk a little bit about myths of the industry, or myths of your specific industry. Are there any myths or any things that you like to debunk about your industry? Like someone who says, oh, I heard about your industry, training and development, learning and development. Mm-hmm. Do you have any myths that you like to tell people, no, this is not how it is. This is not how it feels like?
Some of the myths, this is based on when you have conversation with people who are not in the industry. Yeah, some feel that to be in this industry, you need to be a narcissist or a superstar. It's actually the opposite. No audience would like to sit in and listen to a narcissist. This is an industry of serving people. It's not an industry to be famous or celebrity. So that's number one myth. Number two, some people say, when I'm bored or I'm retired, don't know what to do, I'll go into your industry. There's a skill set to learn, and they need to be prepared for tremendous personality. Some people think it's personality, oh, you have the personality. No, actually, there's a lot of science behind it. Even to the point you got to know what to say, when to say, how long you should be talking, how long you should be listening, what question you should ask, to whom should you ask, should you not? Otherwise, you would not get the result that we want. So skills, it still requires skills. It's not personality 100%. Number two is this is not an industry to be a superstar. It's an industry to be, in fact, I was telling the other day, you need to have that servant mentality, because this is a service. It's really a service, and you are helping people to discover their strength, to discover or uncover how they can solve their own problems. So it's a big responsibility.
Wow. Okay, that is interesting from the insider perspective. So now I'm going to change up a little, and I'm going to ask you some up close and personal questions, right? What are you no longer afraid of?
I'm no longer afraid of being, being less than other people. There was one time when I was a lot younger, I was like, oh, I need to be the best. I need to be the tip top. But now I'm no longer afraid to say, hey, there's someone else who's way lot better than me. And I'm not afraid to even say that and shout out and even to support. Yeah. So it's no longer a competition.
And how did you cultivate this, or how do you grow into this? Is there a special way of thinking about things?
I think what helped is the understanding that each of us have our niche market. So if somebody else is way better than you, even though he or she is doing exactly the same thing, still he or she will have his or her niche market. They have their niche. They have their specific target market. So when I understand that, it's a business knowledge, it's marketing knowledge. Everybody has a niche. Then there's we no longer be afraid of competition. But of course, when you talk about business today, the thing that people talk about is disruption. Yeah. So disruption is different. Disruption is making sure that we are always keeping abreast of the changes, what needs to be done, so that we can serve our client. So, for example, for me, one of the disruption is, we used to do classroom events. Yeah, I used to do classroom of 100 people, going from one place to another. So the moment the pandemic came, automatically gone virtual. So I immediately, in April last year, I was already conducting virtual workshop. I didn't wait for anybody. I experimented. I found some free participants and I experimented. I asked them, I want to test the outcome. So disruption is different. Disruption is about, we make sure that we don't go obsolete.
So you have transformed a lot of your training to online?
Oh, everything.
Can I say that? Everything?
Yeah, everything online. And I'm enjoying it. I've conducted workshop. From here, right here in Kuala Lumpur, I have participants from New York. I have participants from Canada coming in. And next month, I'll be speaking to 100 over doctors who will be from India, Vietnam, and Asia Pac. And this is made possible because it's virtual.
Yeah. And to me, I think that is the part that is so exciting, isn't it? Right now, you could reach out to so many other types of people from all over the world. Whereas in the past, you had to get on a plane, go to another country, go to another city. So today, you can just log on and be there.
Yes.
And be absorbing and learning and teaching and training.
Yes.
So yeah,
I love technology. I have this FOMO when it comes to technology. If I don't know, hey, there's something that can be done. How come I don't know? That one I get a little bit FOMO. I didn't know we can do this. But I'm thankful that I have millennial daughters, so they always keeping me in check. Mom, you didn't know we can do this now?
Okay, so let's talk about your daughters. So that's the interesting part too. So what are your wishes? So what are your hopes for your daughters? Now that you've seen them grow up in this era, right, where it's all about digital tech, and where do you see them as young women of today?
I see, because my daughters grew up with me as a single mom. So I have a similar conversation from my own parents about being a girl. I said, you can go out there and pursue your dream. And I've inculcated this definition of success is when you can be in contribution to the world. So my first daughter is doing her PhD now in conservation. So I noticed she had this conversation on contribution. So everything we talk about, how does this impact the planet? Because that's her area. Yeah. My second daughter as well, at a very young age, they're looking for purpose. She's in hospitality. She's with an airline. So as a cabin crew, she always look at how can I make my passengers happy? How can I give the best service? She's always on the lookout on how can I do my best in making people happy. So she's very people oriented as well. So I love what I see so far, and I hope they get to grow older in a world that is kind to women, that allows them to grow, to be in contribution without putting any limits.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you this question. What's the craziest thing you've ever done?
Craziest? Drove a Ferrari, which is not mine. That's even the craziest.
Okay. And where did you get that Ferrari from?
At a racetrack in Spain.
Wow.
That was fun. There was a few minutes. driving the Ferrari on the racetrack. So I thought that was crazy. I said, if it's my own, that's not as crazy, but it's somebody else's car. I think that's crazy.
That sounds really exciting. Not crazy, exciting.
Yeah, exciting. I took a risk, but I am a fast driver by nature. I love challenges. So I cannot. Let's not put this off record. Just record it down. When I was younger, in my younger days, I would race on the highway.
Wow.
I would race on the highway with male drivers. But I was sober.
Okay.
I was sober. I don't.
So you really like speed?
I love speed. That's my adrenaline rush. Speed with cars. But calculated risk, yeah. If I'm driving a Japanese car, it becomes different. It's continental car, it's different.
Do you do drifting then?
Oh, I didn't get to. I did. It's so sayang. My car. Yeah. It's my own car. You see.
Okay. What about an unusual habit or thing that you love?
Okay, I don't know if it's unusual, but I think in my not community, in my culture, if I were to live in a kampung, it would be very unusual, lah. Yeah. So I'm going to reach 50 this year, and past 2-3 years, I actually catch up with my university senior. We were from a dance group, so last year we performed traditional dance. So we made a pledge that we want to continue dancing, and we catch up with each other once in a while. And in fact, before the pandemic, we were planning on a trip to, was it Spain or somewhere, to perform traditional dance. The 50, 60-year-old aunties. That's our group. So
that sounds really interesting too. I mean, like going to a foreign country to perform your traditional dance.
Yes. Yeah. So just before the lockdown, I was learning the Sarawak dance moves for a performance.
I see. Are you a dancer by name? I mean, like, have you loved dancing all the while?
Since I was born, I guess. So in school, I dance every year. I choreograph, I dance every year. And it's one of my favorite stress relief. It's my right brain activity. I find it's very fun. And
okay.
And in my class, I actually get people to dance, including my virtual session.
Really?
Yes, they dance. I put the music and we did some dance move. Yeah. So that actually, when people say, it's crazy, but there's actually science. It stimulates our right brain, and it's very important for learning. So when our right brain is also stimulated, we are more open to learning. So it creates that learning openness. People put their guard down and then they are ready. Okay, tell me what I need to do now. So I use music and dance to create that.
Okay, that is so unique. I must say that's really unique. Maybe that next time we should do more dancing before any learning happens. Yeah?
Yes, do it.
Okay, I'm going to do a quick one now. What is a personal goal that you're currently focused on? Do you have a personal goal besides the aborted trip to dance?
Yeah. I would like to cover all the countries in the world, travel. And I've started building my programs online. I have a virtual school, and I'm moving towards that. And my goal is by this year, after June, I'll be able to launch my virtual programs globally. And with that, I want to be able to travel, spend 2-3 months in Austria, be on the Siberian train. That's my goal. I want to travel. I really enjoy travel. I think it's a once in a lifetime. I think it's heaven on earth. If I don't discover it, I think it's a sin.
It's a pity, right? It's so beautiful out there.
Yeah, there's so much to see.
Okay, so we are almost at the top of the hour. Can you imagine? We've been talking for almost an hour, and I really enjoyed listening to what you've said, the immense wisdom and knowledge that you have shared with me as well as with the people who are listening to this episode. So usually I'll ask this second last question is, what's the one key takeaway that you want listeners to remember as a result of listening to Intan talk about her experience as a woman, experience as a woman in business, and experience as a parent?
I would say as a woman, we must start with kindness, compassion towards ourselves first. And then you can see your strength. And our strength is actually our gift to the world. Whatever that is, if your strength is coming out with products, running projects and building business, that's a gift for the world. So if we don't develop this and make it available to the world, I think that's a life wasted. Yeah. So each of us have our gift, and our life purpose is to make our gift available for everyone in the world. So go out there, go after your dreams, and be ready to share the gift of you to the rest of the world as a woman entrepreneur.
Thank you. That is a lovely ending to our session today. And where can people find you? Key question.
I'm active on LinkedIn, mainly on LinkedIn. You can find me as Shadaitul Intan, Shadaitul, and Intan, Mzin. And I also occasionally do free mini workshop. I schedule every month. And I'm also going to have a FB group, a community where I do live session every week to talk about the hot topics, things like relationship, toxic workplace, how to deal with negativity, how to deal with adversity, and all that. So I will make an announcement on my LinkedIn. I think that's where I want to start sharing a lot more now that we are on digital. So anybody from anywhere are free to tune in, and I would love to hear from the rest of the women out there as well.
Do you do videos? Not too sure. Did we mention that you do videos?
Well, believe it or not, I'm the opposite of millennial. I was writing to someone today. With millennials, they're digital native, right? They're very natural with videos, to be on social media. But when you ask them to present in the class in front of live audience, they will chicken out. I'm the opposite. I can have 100 people, thousands in front of me. I can speak. But when I have my camera in front of me, the thought about having it on the social media is like, oh man. So I'm really slow when it comes to video. I did a few last 2 years, but I was never not big on video. But I think that is something that I need to work on. And I hope to produce more videos on YouTube. My YouTube channel has content, actually, yeah. So they can also follow my YouTube channel. It's also Shadaitul Intan. There's some tips on managing yourself at workplace.
So thank you so much, Intan. I really enjoyed our session today. I really enjoyed speaking with you. And from our conversation, I realized that you really, truly are a people person. Deep inside your people person. I cannot even imagine you doing accounts or finance. It's just so not you. So this is you, working with people, encouraging them and giving them a new way of thinking about themselves and the world.
Yes.
And I think that affirming, uplifting nature of yours, I think that will probably be the reason why you're a good trainer, a good teacher. Would you like to be known as a trainer or teacher?
Trainer, facilitator, coach. But all I can say is that put me to sleep at night smiling.
Yeah, when you're doing the work that you love, right?
Yeah. I sleep at night smiling and like happy. I think that's my. If you ask me now, don't ask my net worth. My net worth is I am happy when I go to sleep at night.
I think that's a really good benchmark to judge if we've been doing the stuff that we need to do, whether it's for ourselves and our clients, that we know, right? We can sleep well at night.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you don't feel out of integrity. You don't shortchange your client. I think as an entrepreneur, that's very critical today. Because today we are living in a world that's very transparent. It's a world of trust economy. Right?
So thank you once more, Intan. We will speak again.
Yes, would love to. Thank you so much, Krista. I really had fun having a chat with you as well. Wonderful conversation. And I hope to listen to more of your sessions. Keep uplifting the women entrepreneurs out there. And I look forward to hear all the other women entrepreneurs out there as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode. You can find all the links and show notes on our website, womenpreneurasia.com. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. If you're sharing this on your social media, please use the hashtag Womenpreneur Asia. In next week's episode, I'll be speaking to Charlie Koh, who is the CEO and founder of Urban Metri in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Urban Metri is a property data company that uses data to improve city planning while creating a more sustainable urban environment. Charlie went into urban planning with a mathematical mindset so that she could use data to make better, more livable cities. Charlie told me that she was particularly proud that she kept her business afloat in 2020, which was a tough year for many businesses. I'll see you next week as we are set to uncover Charlie's entrepreneurial story.